This is our kind of first get-together. I just wanted to talk about kind of what I'm trying to accomplish here, what you can expect from me, some of the tools we'll use, and what I expect from you. And so as we study together, we'll be using the scriptures and some other resources to help us gain insight into the scriptures and what they mean in our lives. I'm going to use a lot of the scriptures and a lot of the tools that are found in the LDS Library app, which is what you see here. So we'll be digging into the standard works, starting in the Book of Mormon, and so we'll be doing that. We'll also use some of the other references in the app. You can follow along using the app, or you can follow along. Sometimes we'll be using the scriptures on the website, lds.org, and you find all the references there as well. So we'll occasionally come here as things come up that we need to use that interface. I mostly personally study the scriptures on my devices, so that's why I'll use that as my primary source. But then we use some other tools that are very helpful that I've found I've gained a lot of insight in. This is the LDS Scripture Citation Index. This is found at scriptures.byu.edu, and you can go there, follow along. They also have a app for your devices, and I use that as well. It's very good, and this allows us to go in and take a look at how many times a given scripture that we're going to be reading in the standard works has been referenced outside of the standard works by prophets and apostles, those called to be witnesses of Christ and their teachings. And so let's just dig into something, for example. So if we go and take a look at Matthew 16:4, we can see that 15 references to this verse have been made in various conferences and Journal of Discourses. So we've got an interesting mix here. We've got this is one where the majority of the references are from the Journal of Discourses, several from the prophet Joseph Smith. You see, he references that. Depending on what is being referenced. So in Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, this is the typical format. So you'll have just the reference there, and then you'll have to scroll up to find the note. So we're looking for number 1. The principle is correct as the one that Jesus put forth in saying that he who seeketh a sign is an adulterous person. So that's where we get that. And if we look at that, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. And so that's where that comes from. If you click on any of these references, it'll bring up the scripture that is being referenced here in the left-hand side, and then you'll always have the main content of whatever you're looking at here. So that's kind of how we'll use that. We'll get a deeper insight into some of the scriptures by looking at some of the talks. So this is a conference talk in 1984 from W. Grant Bangeter, and we can see he used it, the reference here. We call it what it is, a wicked and adulterous generation. So we'll look at the context of scriptures in the light of how they're referenced in these various discourses sermons, talks. One of the other tools that we'll use is the 1828 dictionary. This is, again, a tool that you can find online. There's many different websites that list it. This is the one I happen to be using right now. There are also apps on your device that you can use for this. I have one that I use on my device called 1828. That's what it's called. And so these are some of the tools that we'll use as we study the scriptures and seek to expand our testimony of Jesus Christ and become witnesses of Him and His ministry and His gospel. It's we got a great adventure ahead of us. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully you'll come along. You'll share your insights with me as we go along. I'm going to try and keep our sessions to about 20 minutes. That gives enough time, I think, that we can dig into some things and go where the Spirit directs us, as well as keeping it short enough that it can fit into our busy lives. One of my main motivations of doing this is to honestly a personal gain. I want to gain